Fox Sports.
We are Blackmore. We are Ohio.
As the Indians and Tigers face off in a big series, even bigger news has rocked Major League Baseball. 13 more players have been suspended for their roles in the biogenesis case, including Tigers shortstop Johnny Peralta. How it affects Detroit, we'll find out starting tonight as the Tribe and the Tigers square off in a Central Division showdown next on Sports Time Ohio. From Progressive Field in downtown Cleveland, it's showdown time tonight as the Detroit Tigers roll into town in first place in the American League Central Division with the Indians just 3 games out. Hi again, everyone. Matt Underwood alongside Rick Manning. We'll get to that in a moment. The first big news of the day, though, the 13 more players suspended in the biogenesis scandal, including Johnny Peralta, who's been a key bat. Not necessarily a great defensive shortstop, but they're going to miss his bat in that lineup.
Well, they will, but they have a lot of offense, and they went out. They were heads up. They went out and got Jose Iglesias, to come back and fill in and play shortstop. So Dave Dombrowski wasn't taking any chances. They want to win. They want to win right now, but Peralta is suspended, and rightfully so.
All right, now the Indians and the Tigers, it's been a one-sided series so far this year. Detroit has won 9 out of 12. But since the last time they met, when Detroit came in here and won 3 out of 4, both teams have been red hot.
They really have. This has been a fun race right now. The Indians 16-6. The one thing they haven't been able to do when the Tigers come into town or against them this year is pitch. Their ERA is over 6. If they want to win a few games of this series against the Tigers, they're going to have to come out. They're going to have to pitch and keep it down so their offense doesn't have to score as many runs against a very good Tigers starting staff.
And it would be nice to see the Indians use that old familiar success formula, get some early runs, and play from in front. The play-by-play is coming up. The Motor City Kitties, the big bad bullies of the American League Central Division, have come to Cleveland to try and squash the Indians' hopes of playing perhaps in October. The Indians, though, are ready to dig in and protect their home turf. The play-by-play is next. From Progressive Field, we welcome you in for a monster series between the Indians and the Detroit Tigers. The first of 4 this week between the Central Division leading Detroit Tigers, who've won 8 in a row, and the Indians in second place 3 games back. They've won 10 of their last 11. The gates are jammed. A lot of folks late arriving, still trying to make their way into the ballpark. We expect a big crowd here tonight as the Indians have taken the field behind Corey Kluber. He's looking for his 8th win of the year, and let's look at Jim Leyland's starting 9 for Detroit. Austin Jackson will lead things off, followed by Torrey Hunter. Miguel Cabrera is back in the starting lineup tonight, leading the league in batting average, 2nd in home runs, 2nd in runs batted in. Prince Fielder will hit cleanup, followed by Victor Martinez, who will DH. Andy Dirks batting 6th. Then it's Alex Avila, Jose Iglesias, and Ramon Santiago.
Corey Kluber making his 19th start this year. He is 7-5 and a 377 earned run average. And Kluber's been, pretty consistent over here. Coming off a start against the White Sox, 8 2/3 innings. He gave up 8 hits and 4 runs. But he's set to face Detroit for the 4th time this year. He's looking for his first win. He's 0-2, although he came out of his last game against the Tigers leading 6-1 and did not get a decision. So he has pitched well, 1-3 in his career. Let's take a look at the Kia Indians defense behind him tonight. It'll be Brantley in left, Bourne in center, Stubbs in right, Chisenhall at third, Cabrera at short, Kipnis is at second, Swisher at first with Santana behind the plate.
Tom Hallion, your crew chief, will call the balls and strikes. Phil Cuzzy is at first, Chris Guccione at second, Ron Kolpa down at third. So we are ready to go. I wouldn't say it's been a long-awaited series, but as Terry Francona said, you play all year for a series like this. Both teams playing tremendous baseball. They're both hot coming in at the same time.
Yeah. Well, that's what makes it fun right now. Both teams playing on top of their games.
Austin Jackson takes ball 1 inside. 68 degrees, our game time temperature under cloudy skies. Jackson a swing and a foul. Austin Jackson 0 for his last 7. And on the year, he has 5 hits in 27 at-bats against Cleveland Indians pitching.
Ended up getting hurt one of our first trips back into Cleveland, where he ended up going on the DL for quite some time. And then coming back, and they certainly missed him when he was out.
High pop. Right field near the line. Drew Stubbs into foul territory. 1 away. Taking a look now at our keys to the game, courtesy of Akron Children's Hospital. The Indians have won 11 in a row here at home, looking to make it 12 straight. Keep the guys in front of the big boppers off the bases, always important when you play Detroit. And for the Indians, 2-out hitting. It's been a key to their success all season long. Torrey Hunter following it back. He's had a tremendous season.
Well, he's brought a different energy level to this team, I think, out in right field. He's that veteran that comes in. He's high energy. And, he's got that, what it takes, I think, to in the clubhouse. For the rest of the team, he takes a lot of pressure off other people.
Line to left, near the line. Long run for Brantley to try and cut it off. Hunter, big turn. He's going to dig and go for 2. Brantley's throw is on the money, and they got him. Michael Brantley guns down Torrey Hunter, who was trying to stretch it into a double. 2 down in the first.
How many times have we seen that this year? That's number 10 for Brantley. This is going to be our McDonald's. I'm loving it, and I don't blame Hunter for trying. There's 1 out. He feels that ball's over to his right. He's got to stop, turn, and throw, and it is a 1-hop seed to retire Torrey Hunter. Beautiful job by Michael Brantley. He now leads the league in outfield assists with number 10. Well done. We've seen that all year from Michael.
And especially that's the tough play where he's got to go, stop, pivot, plant, and make that good throw, and he's done it well all season long. One better than Alex Gordon, Aaron Hicks, and Viciedo of the White Sox. So with 2 down, Miguel Cabrera the batter.
His arm really plays beautifully in left field. I mean, you see Hunter going in. He wants to go in head first. He knew it was going to be a challenge. But Kipnis kept that tag right there, got him in the chest before the hands could reach the base.
1-1 the count on Cabrera. And he fouled that one off. Cabrera pinch hit in yesterday's game. He's been bothered. He had a hip issue. He's had an abdominal strain. And there are a lot of Tiger fans and a few Tiger executives who are holding their collective breath that this guy stays in one piece.
Yeah, that's the one thing. They need him in that lineup because he is the best hitter in baseball. And when you have that hip problem, that could lead to other problems as well when you're favoring it. And he's back in there at third base. But we'll see after missing Peralta, and he's no longer with them. They have to have him back.
The 2-2 from Kluber. Oh, just missed outside. A 96-mile-an-hour fastball.
Take a look at this on our Nissan pitch tracker. Good pitch, maybe a little low. But a good pitch, and Cabrera doesn't bite.
So a full count with Prince Fielder on deck. And the payoff pitch. Smashed to right field. Inside the line and into the corner. And Cabrera, lumbering and laboring, will finally make it to second base. He had no intention of going to second. But
no.
Stubbs had trouble picking the ball up, or it took a crazy carom. I lost sight of it down in that corner. He was content to stay at first base, but eventually just strolled into second.
How about that? They wanted it away, but he went up and in and just goes the other way with it. That's what kind of hitter he is. And Stubbs, yeah, he just got screwed up with that ball hitting the corner of the wall, deflected. He stopped, and then he saw it get by him, so he just cruised into second base. As you mentioned, no intention.
It'll be a single, and then the air allowing him to go to second. And Prince Fielder has a runner in scoring position now. Pops the first pitch up foul and out of play. Prince Fielder has driven in 76 runs on the year. That's 5th most in the American League. This guy is some kind of durable. He's played in 452 consecutive games. The 0-1 out of play and nothing into the count. Corey Kluber, after giving up the hit to Cabrera, has a chance to get out of trouble here. He's given up 2 hits in the inning. And the 2-strike offering. Swung on and missed. He struck him out. He went up the ladder, and Fielder chased it. He strikes out to end the inning, and now the Indians are coming to bat. Take a look at Terry Francota's starting lineup for the Tribe, brought to you by Progressive, making it easy to bundle your home and car insurance. Michael Bourne will lead it off. He's batting .290 at home this year. Nick Swisher in the 2-hole, followed by Jason Kipnis. As Dribble Cabrera bats cleanup, followed by Michael Brantley and then Carlos Santana. Jason Giambi, Lonnie Chisenhall, and Drew Stubbs batting ninth.
Anibal Sanchez on the mound for Detroit. He is 9-7, making his 19th start. A nice .259 ERA, 96 hits in his 111 innings, but 120 strikeouts. And he's got an excellent changeup that he will use to both lefties and righties.
Michael Bourne looks at ball one outside.
He is 3-1 lifetime against the Indians, 1-0 this year.
Bourne punts it. Avila jumps on it, throws to first, and they got him. Good play by Alex Avila, who got on it in a hurry.
He sure did. Let's check out that Tigers defense tonight. Behind Sanchez, it's going to be Dirksen left, Jackson center, Hunter in right. Cabrera at third, Iglesias at short, Santiago at second, Fielder at first, Avila behind the plate. Yeah, I like what Michael's trying to do, get on base, get something going, but Avila comes out and makes a very nice play. Got out quickly on it. Good throw. Just a little bit harder for Bourne.
I think it's a smart play to test Miguel Cabrera, too, at third base. I think that was the idea. He probably deadened it a little more than he wanted to.
Not a bad idea. You're right.
I think Cabrera's chirping at Michael Bourne right now.
No, good. Then do it again.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they're going.
Nick Swisher, 0 for his last 8, has swung the bat well against Detroit this year. He has a .270 average against Tiger pitching with a home run. Anibal Sanchez delivers, and Swisher bangs it in the hole. Backhanded by Fielder. And the flip is there, 2 down. With more on Miguel Cabrera, who's back in the lineup for Detroit, here's Katie Witham.
Well, Matt, the Indians clubhouse expected him to be back for this series. Michael Bourne said Cabrera's Detroit's game changer. Even if his hip was broken, he'd be out there for this one. You know, the Tigers played well without them, but they're even better with him. And that's fine because Bourne said you want to beat the best.
Yeah, I think that's why he had the couple days off prior to coming into this series, knowing that's when he is going to play. When you get into August and you get into stretch run and you get into, time of the year like this, everybody is ready to play. They're all hurt. You go, and if you know what, he's got 80%, he gives 80%. If it's less than that, he gives whatever he has. But he will be on the field for his teammates.
And as the old cliche goes, 80% of Miguel Cabrera is better than 100% of a lot of guys, right?
Well, it is. But that's what I like is they're going to try and bunt on him and see what happens if he can move over there. That's one thing. He could hit in his sleep. He could roll up there and sit in a chair and hit. But can he field his position? That's another thing.
Jason Kipnis down on the count, 1 ball and 2 strikes. And now even up. Kipnis batting .295 on the year, but he has hit just .204 against Detroit. Smoke to first, backhanded nicely by Fielder. He'll take it himself. And the Indians go 1-2-3. No score after 1 here in Cleveland. It's brought to you by McDonald's, now introducing 3 exciting new Quarter Pounders, and by Kia. Cloudy day here in downtown as the Indians and the Tigers lock horns in a monster series. Indians 3 games back of Detroit. This game 112 of the season for the Tribe. Detroit still has 2 games to catch up to the Indians. Just their 110th on the year. Victor Martinez, a 14-game hitting streak from the end of June through the middle of July. He's batted .370 against the Indians this year.
Well, you knew that average was going to come up. He was, every time we faced him, he started to get better and better.
0-2 the count. Kluber has come out throwing strikes, and a lot of them, 12 out of 16. Upstairs with it. Now the 1-2. Driven deep right field, but hooked it foul.
You know, you can see that they're consciously trying to pitch some of these Detroit hitters inside. But you can see how quick Victor was. That ball was inside. And sometimes you have to go in off the plate. You know, knock him out of that toe hold. Not inside for a strike. Just to get him out of there a couple of times. Because that was quick in there. Had success against Kluber.
Well, in their head-to-head matchups this year, Detroit has dominated innings 2, 3, and 4, and that has been their success formula. They've jumped on the Indians early and made them try to play catch-up.
Yeah. Well, and that's hard to do when they have, you know, their starting pitching is so good. It's number 1 in the league when it comes to ERA. If they get the lead, that's what they like to do.
They've outscored the Indians in innings 2, 3, and 4 this year, 39-9. The payoff pitch. Bloop towards left field, and that will drop. So Martinez aboard, already the Tigers' 3rd hit of the game. And that'll bring up Andy Dirks. Normally for Detroit, Johnny Peralta would bat in the 6th spot in the lineup. But if you haven't heard, he was suspended today. One of now 13 players suspended in the biogenesis scandal. His teammate Max Scherzer talked about it before the game.
I'm just disappointed because it's another black eye into the game, and it's just disappointing because now the fans have to question all the clean players. And there's so many of us that go out there and do it the right way, and I can see how the fans are frustrated. So as players, I think we're going to look to try to shore up the system, make the rules a little bit tighter so that it takes away the incentive to cheat. And I think of that, then we can always talk about baseball.
No doubt.
That's Tigers pitcher Max Scherzer responding to the story earlier today. Johnny Peralta suspended for the remainder of the regular season.
I can see where some of the Detroit players are mad at Peralta for doing what he did. He was having a great year. He's going to be a free agent at the end of the year anyway. So he will be gone until, a couple of games left in the season, and I would be surprised if you ever see him again in Detroit because they got Iglesias. They traded for him. They prepared for it. And you know what? It is good for baseball. They have to clean it up for the guys that are clean, and most of them are.
Rick, there is no sympathy anymore in the game. I think some of the players said, you get to know a guy or you think you know a guy, so you feel bad for him on one level. But the rules are very clear now. There is no ambiguity left in baseball when it comes to these performance-enhancing drugs. You know the rules. You choose to break the rules now, then that's on you, and you deserve to be gone because there are too many players who aren't doing it, and they're saying, if you're trying to take a job from me, who's trying to do it the right way now?
Right.
So they don't have any sympathy for these guys now.
They should make them stiffer penalties, I think. Because, these guys get away with it, and they continue to get away with it. And even if they serve their suspension, they'd be allowed to come back to their team. That is not right.
Well, we'll have to wait and see how all of that eventually plays out. Nelson Cruz also at the top of that list, big player for the Texas Rangers. A lot of the players on this list, most fans have never heard of. Many of them are in the minor leagues. Jesus Montero, though, was a guy that was a key part of that trade between New York and Seattle.
It all links to the Miami, to the biogenesis. Right back in there, and you can see the names. What are you going to do? You got to take care of it. You got to clean it up.
Alex Rodriguez was hit with a ban that would essentially amount to 211 games the rest of this year and all of next season. However, he is the only player that has chosen to appeal. And so he'll appeal, and that appeal will be heard by an independent arbitrator, and then we'll have to wait and see how that plays out. The mountain of evidence against him, though, suggests he's going to have a tough time winning any kind of an appeal. Alex Avila takes a called strike. Detroit threatening here in the second with 2 on, nobody out. In the air. Deep left center field. Bourne a long run. He's on the track. He makes the catch. And fires it back toward the infield as the runners have to retreat. A tremendous running play by Michael Bourne. Just in front of the wall in left field. He ran a long way to get that baby.
Well, get on your horse and go get it. Yes, he did. He had to go to his right to left center field and watch the ground that he covers. Brantley wasn't going to get there, but Bourne races. He's playing deep to get it deep, and then the left center field makes a fine running catch and gets it in because Martinez is on second base. He's not going anywhere, but a good play, and that's out number 1.
Now Jose Iglesias. Dave Dombrowski, Tigers general manager, made the deal to acquire Iglesias from Boston. We saw him earlier this year, and he swung the bat well against the Indians. He was 4 for 8 against the Tribe when we played the Red Sox earlier this year. But in order to get Iglesias, it wound up being a 3-team trade. He had to part with Avisail Garcia, who is a very talented young outfielder.
Yeah, he could. Yeah, he'll be over there in Chicago playing for the White Sox. You're right. The baby Cabrera, as we used to call him, because he looked like him.
1-0 pitch. A little bit low. He batted .330 while with Boston, a .182 since coming over. That's just 2 for 11. 0 for his last 6 as a Tiger. 2-0 pitch. And there's a strike called. Kluber, who came out throwing a ton of strikes early, is having a little tougher time here in this inning. The hit by Martinez, the walk to Dirks, long fly out by Avila. He's fallen behind Iglesias 2-1. And a foul back evens the count. Down in the dirt. Good block by Santana. Now a full count. Waiting on deck is Ramon Santiago, the number 9 hitter. Turn and nothing doing. Martinez was headed back towards second base. And the payoff pitch, the runners go, and a ground ball towards short. They go to second, they get the force, throw to first. Not in time, it was close. But Iglesias just did beat it out, even with the runners going.
That was a good try.
The Indians got the force at second and still almost turned a double play.
That was the good try. And the good thing is that, well, Dirks was on first. He wasn't able to get down there, but he was off and running on the play. He made it close. See, he was trying to beat it instead of take out Kipnis. They still couldn't turn it. He had to go behind the bag because they were down on him. So he couldn't come across. It may have cost him a step, but they beat it out, and the inning continues. That's why you start the runners. Detroit, a team that doesn't run, and Leland felt, I got to start the runners in case this guy hits a ground ball like he did. And he stayed out of the double play. So a good call by him.
Well, it's also a gutsy call for a manager when you've got a player who you've had for all of 11 at-bats, too. You think you know he'll put the bat on the play, but when you haven't had him around very long, you run the risk if he strikes him out, it's an easy double play
He's
at
not
third.
going to. He's putting that in his mind. You're putting it in play. Put the ball in play.
The 0-1. Bounce to first. Swisher with a grab, a fair ball, steps on the bag, and the inning is over. Nice play by Nick Swisher defensively at first base, and the Indians playing some fine defense here in the early innings. No score as we go to the bottom of the second inning as Drupal Cabrera, Michael Brantley, and Carlos Santana coming up for the Tribe. Anibal Sanchez lets it fly down and in for ball one. Cabrera has hit .250 against Detroit this year, which is just about what he's hit on the season as a whole. .246 average coming in.
Doubled up on that changeup. You know, you don't realize it. He's not a big guy, but Sanchez throws 95, 96 miles per hour. But his changeup he throws to both lefties and righties, and he's got a nice breaking ball to go with it.
Inside again.
And he is not afraid, as you can see, to pitch inside the left-handers. The first time he pitched against the Indians this year, he came off the disabled list. and he only went 5 innings, so he wasn't as sharp as he was. He has had a 17 strikeout game this year, back April 26th against Atlanta, and also a 12 strikeout game against Minnesota. So went on his game, and he's executing his pitches. You can see a lot of swings and misses.
As Dribble Cabrera lines one to deep left. Back is Dirks on the track at the wall, and he makes the catch. Andy Dirks with a fine play in deep left field for out number 1.
Well, he ran Dirks back to the wall on the warning track. That's tough to drive a ball off the wall here. This is a legitimate ballpark to pitch in, but Dirks makes a nice running catch. Takes an extra base hit away from Cabrera.
And there's one out now for Michael Brantley.
Well, that's one thing you better do in this series. You better play good defense and not give any extra outs.
Brantley with a base hit. Nothing new. He's at .293 against Detroit on the year. He's been a thorn in their side. And he has the Indians' first hit of the night. A 1-out single here in the second. Here's a look now at our stat of the game, brought to you by your Northern Ohio Buick dealers. The top 3 teams in the Central Division in the last 7 days have all been playing dynamite baseball. The Tigers are 5-0. Indians have won 6 out of 7. Royals have won 5 out of 6. They've all been scoring. They've all been pitching well. Now Carlos Santana. Back out of play.
You know, you look at it, these two teams, the Tigers and the Indians, they have identical records at home, both 37-19. Detroit a little bit better on the road, 27-26. But, you know, when you come into this ballpark, they're 1-5. The Indians are against the Tigers because their ERA is at 6. But they're 6-1 here against the White Sox, 5-1 against Kansas City, 4-2 against Minnesota. They've had their way with every other team, but they've got to pitch well to beat Detroit in this ballpark, and they've played so well here all year. It's been a team of comebacks.
Upstairs with it. 1 ball, 1 strike. Carlos Santana. A couple of home runs against Detroit on the year. Offensively, though, he's been in a rut of late. He's 0 for his last 8. Did not look good in that series against Miami. Runner goes. Pitch called a strike. Throw down. Not in time. Michael Brantley with steal number 12.
Yeah, you got to be aggressive. You got to take off. They're paying attention to him. He gets a good jump and steals it. I mean, he picked the right pitch. That was a good one to throw for Avila, but you can see throws it offline. Michael, head down, straight steal, gets the bag.
So he's in the scoring position with 1 out. Santana, though, down on the count now, 1-2. Ripped foul on the right side into the seats and back out again. Terry Francona looks on as Santana tries to give the Indians an early lead. Carlos has batted .294 with runners in scoring position on the year.
Sanchez has been so good on the year with runners in scoring position, just a 222 average. And you know about him, Matt, when you look at him, 112 innings, he's only given up 5 home runs. So
well,
he keeps the ball in the ballpark.
The Tigers have only given up 86. That's 16 fewer than the closest team to them. I mean, they just have done a nice job as a staff of keeping the ball in the yard. 2-2 pitch. Down on the dirt, a full count. I mean, the Indians have done a good job at that too, Rick. I think they're among the league leaders as far as only allowing 110, but still 110 and 86, that's a pretty big gap.
Yeah, I mean, that Detroit ballpark, other than right field, that's a tough place to hit a home run.
Outfield for Santana around toward right. Payoff pitch. Strike 3 called. Boy, he took a fastball.
He's looking for the changeup.
He was looking for anything but the heater, right?
He was looking for the changeup. You know, you get into that count, sometimes you'll guess with a guy. He was guessing off speed, and he got the number 1. He got the pitch that he loves to hit, and he took it. So, okay, he guessed wrong. He walks back to the dugout. That's strikeout number 1 for Sanchez.
Looking for the local, and he got the express. Now Jason Giambi. Giambi batting 194 on the year, but with runners in scoring position, he's hit .303, so he's been pretty good in the clutch. Two balls, no strikes. His only hit this year against Detroit in 18 at-bats was a home run. Second baseman Santiago out on the outfield grass in shallow right. And Giambi slugs one up the middle into center field, a base hit. Another clutch hit for Giambi, and the Indians take the lead on a 2-out RBI single. 1-0 Cleveland. Giambi's 25th RBI on the year.
Well, the veteran does his job. Gets a big 2-out base hit where the Indians have scored now 212 runs with 2 outs. That's a nice hit right there because that gets the bench going. Jason puts a nice stroke on the baseball, scores Brantley easy, so the Indians will play from in front tonight. Giambi is 25th ribby.
Brantley started it with a base hit to center field. He stole second, and he comes home on the 2-out RBI hit. And now Chisenhall drives one. Deep center. Back is Jackson on the track at the wall, and he makes an unbelievable catch. Austin Jackson skying high in the air to take it away from Lonnie Chisenhall. We've had a little bit of everything already here tonight. The Indians with a 1-0 lead. Second inning. Austin Jackson going back in deep center field. He just timed this so well, Rick.
He's one of the best at tracking him down. He knows right where he's at on the field. He took his 2 steps. He goes up and makes a fine jumping catch before he heads into the wall. Nicely done. He's as good as it gets out there. Seen him for years.
It's hard to tell on the replay. At first, I thought it was going to be a home run for sure. On the replay, it might have not been. I don't know.
Well, he looked like he might have been a step away from the wall from that shot.
Still a terrific play.
Yeah, it was. Nicely timed. He's got...
Jackson lays one down and hit him out of the box, and he is going to be out.
Yeah. Yeah, you give the assist to Santana. He was. That was a good call. Tom Hellion waited, and he did try to put it down, and he came out of the batter's box, and he was out. That was a good call. I'm sure when we show you on a replay, you'll see it. If the ball hits you in the box, it's a foul ball, but he was totally out of the box. That front foot was way out in front of home plate. Santana making it clear to Tom Hellion. There it is. And see where his front foot is? It's right out in front of home plate, out of the batter's box.
So 1 away now for Torrey Hunter. Hunter singled to left his first time up, but he went for 2, and Michael Brantley threw him out at second base. Hunter has 11 hits in his last 24 at-bats.
Yeah, he has been hot. He's been swinging it very well.
Now he bunts one up in the air, but it's going to go back all the way back over the screen. And then came back down onto the field. But
everything goes, huh? This is funny. Just trying to get base runners to get Kluber out of the stretch. He feels that Chisenhall's playing back at third base. They want to give him a base runner. They'll take it.
Swung on and missed.
There's the 2-seamer he's going to need in a good location down. He hung Hunter a breaking ball the first time up, and he got a base hit. He pulled it a little off the end of the bat, but he still pulled it.
Upstairs with it. 2-2. Swung on and missed. He threw the fastball by him at 96. Second strikeout for Corey Kluber. And there are 2 down here in the third. Time now to take a look at the injury report brought to you by Elk & Elk. Serious lawyers for serious injuries. Call 1-800-ELK-OHIO. The surging Los Angeles Dodgers will have to wait on Hanley Ramirez, who's got a bum shoulder. Salvador Perez, the talented catcher of the Royals, on the 7-day concussion DL. And Derek Jeter back on the DL with a right calf problem. That just won't seem to go away. Breaking ball and in there for a strike to Miguel Cabrera. And a base hit down into the right field corner his first time up. Pulled the string on him again. It's 0-2. Now the 2-strike pitch. Up and away with a heater. Now the 1-2 pitch. Dug out that 97-mile-an-hour fastball and just fouled it off the other way. Right back up the middle. Hit Kluber on the leg. He'll pick it up, flip it to first, and the Tigers go 1-2-3. 1-0 Cleveland, middle of the third. A reminder, as you enjoy a cold one, to stay tuned later in the game for Miller Time, brought to you by Miller Lite. Indians out to the early lead, 1-0. Drew Stubbs, Michael Bourne, Nick Swisher will bat here in the third for the Tribe. Stubbs takes a look at ball one. Drew has batted .240 against the Tigers this year with a home run. Breaking ball fouled back. Winning game one of a series is always important, regardless of who you are. For the Indians this year, it has really been a pivotal game for them as far as winning the series. When they've won game one, they've gone on to go 14-2-3 in series. Stubbs out looking. Second strikeout for Sanchez. One down here in the third. Here's a look at tonight's trivia question brought to you by AT&T. The only battery mates to win Gold Gloves for two different teams.
Wow.
We'll have the answer coming up later in the game. Top of the order, Michael Bourne. Bounced it in there. Out of play to the left. Bourne tried to bunt his way aboard in the first. So he's got Cabrera in on the grass at third. Takes a strike. It's now 1-2, and Cabrera will back up. Two balls, two strikes. And Bourne strikes out. Back-to-back Ks here in the third for Sanchez. 2 down.
Well, swing for the fences with the new Home Run Derby mobile game from MLB.com. It's available on iPhone and iPad, and you can download it free today.
Nick Swisher, a swing and a miss. I swear, for Miguel Cabrera, I think winning the game off the field is just as important as winning the game on the field. He spends more time looking into the crowd, dealing with the hecklers, because that's what it is. People are jawing at him, and he engages them.
That's his
personality. It just fuels their fire even more.
That's his personality. This game is, he has fun playing it, and the total game. He enjoys it, and he doesn't care. He chirps, he talks more than anybody you'll see out on the field.
That almost hit Swisher. Lost control of that pitch. Out goes Avila. I think that ball, did that get a little piece of the umpire?
Might have.
42 pitches so far for Anibal Sanchez, and 23 of those have been strikes. He's fanned the first 2 here in the third, and he has Swisher down on the count 1-2. A little bit low. There's a hard hit ball to right field, right at Torrey Hunter. And the Indians go 1-2-3. After 3 innings of play, it's the Indians 1 and the Tigers nothing. Now for the AT&T U-verse rewind. Michael Brantley in the very first inning. Second batter of the game, Torrey Hunter tried to stretch it into a double. No. Michael Bourne running a ball down off the bat of Alex Avila that would have been an RBI hit in the second. Same inning. Nick Swisher makes a fine play to end the frame. Our Firestone Complete Auto Care Extra Mile Index. Michael Brantley has gone 200 consecutive errorless games. Second longest streak since 1921 in Indians history. Prince Fielder takes a called strike. Kluber had a rocky start to the second inning, gave up a hit to Martinez, then walked Andy Dirks. Since then, he's retired 6 in a row. Lined right field, and Stubbs holds on to a ball that had some wicked movement on it because he hit it so hard. One down.
He hit it right on the nose, but Stubbs had a good jump, and he's coming in, so it did have something on it. You're right, because it might have been moving a little bit. When you come in, he had an excellent jump. It got to him in a hurry. So anything that's been hit on the nose, there's been some very good defense played tonight so far.
Now the first third of this game has been played like they are the two best teams in the Central Division, just as their records indicate they are. Ripped foul by Martinez.
Didn't he have Victor 0-2 last time when he got him deep in the count? Victor ended up getting a base hit.
Digs that one out, and he bloops that into center field for another hit.
Well, that's not a bad pitch right there. You got to give credit. Victor went down and hit a pretty darn good pitch. It jammed him. It was a breaking ball low. And he gets another base hit, 2 for 2. Tell you what, that was in there. You see, look at Santana was going over to backhand it. Maybe not where they wanted the location, but he pulls the hands in and gets a base hit with it. So Victor now 2 for 2, 4 hits for the Tigers.
Snaps a string of 7 in a row set down by Corey Kluber, and now Andy Dirks. Tough guy to figure out this year. He's hit just .249 on the season, but against the Indians he's batted .360 with a couple of homers and 6 runs driven in. He's also played very good defensively, as we saw earlier in the game tonight. Double play ball to short. Cabrera to Kipnis. Inning over. A twin killer enables Corey Kluber to breeze through the fourth on just 8 pitches. SportsOhio.com. 5 questions that must be addressed as Buckeyes football camp opens. All the latest news from Berea and part 2 of the conversation with Blue Jackets head coach Todd Richards. Complete coverage of all today's action involving Ohio sports on FoxSportsOhio.com. Jason Kipnis will start the home half of the 4th. Upstairs, ball 1. One ball, 1 strike. Kipnis batting .355 over his last 50 games with 42 runs driven in. Out in front again, 1 ball, 2 strikes. Sanchez doubling up on him that time. And he strikes him out. Came back with that same pitch. And that's 4 strikeouts now.
Looks like another changeup to me where he can haul. You can see it going down, man. It's almost like that dead fish. And look at the movement. Excellent location with 2 strikes. That ball has a lot of movement. However he holds that pitch, it's not a circle change. It's almost like, I don't know if he splits his fingers there or what, but it's a nasty pitch. Let's see the grip on that. I knew they'd get it. Look at that. It's almost like a fork ball, as wide as it is, and it looks like his thumb and his baby finger on the outside of the ball. You know, it's almost like a fork ball.
2 quick strikes on his dribble. Cabrera. It's 0-2.
That was a good shot because, you know, you could probably do anything you want because he's got it covered on the side. You can make it go, you know, away to a left-hander and maybe away to a right-hander as well.
Well, he's got it going right now.
That's the pitch.
He has struck out 4 of the last 5 batters he has faced. It brings up Michael Brantley, who singled and scored the only run of this game in the 2nd.
Yeah, that first time through the lineup, they had 1 swing and miss. And we've got 4 hitters the second time. They've already got 6 swings and misses. So he's getting a feel for something, I'll tell you that.
Popped up foul. Miguel Cabrera can't get to it.
That would be the time to bunt one down the third baseline after you just fouled one over where he had to run backwards.
Now Anibal Sanchez, very efficient so far here tonight.
Well, yeah, what does he have? 8 pitches in this, and he's got 2 strikeouts and an 0-1 count on Brantley.
Make it 0-2. Just missing. 1 ball, 2 strikes, up high with the heater. You referenced the 17 strikeout game he had against Atlanta, the 12 strikeout game he had against Minnesota. That's his best effort of the year. That was a 1-hit shutout.
Yeah. This guy doesn't give up many hits. Keeps the ball in the ballpark, but he's giving up 2 to Brantley.
Michael sends it right back up the middle for a 2-out single here in the 4th.
Well, Brantley, he stayed back on that pitch and able to just take what is given. Well, it'll be a 2-night Rocket Blast fireworks spectacular. It'll be Friday and Saturday this weekend. The Indians will take on the LA Angels. Fans will be treated to an expanded post-game fireworks display that'll pay tribute to the Rolling Stones' 50th anniversary. It's presented by Kia, so log on to Indians.com for your tickets.
Carlos Santana called out on strikes his first time up, takes the ball down in the dirt. Close play, but Brantley Bay just back ahead of the tag of fielder.
The Indians have been able to take advantage of their stolen bases recently. Brantley stole the base back in the second, able to come around and score. They did that well in Miami as well. Remember the day they had 6 stolen bases? They've scored, 5 runs? Coming off stolen bases, so they have paid dividends recently, and they are number 1 in the league in stolen bases.
Santana drives it to deep right field. Hunter back looking up. It is off the top of the wall. Coming around third. Brantley will score. Santana into second base with a 2-out RBI double. He just missed a 2-run homer, and the Indians lead it 2-0.
Boy, that ball must have had topspin. I thought it was out of here. I thought it was going to get over. Torrey Hunter just turned around and looked. And that thing must have just come down and hit the top of the wall, because I thought he had enough of it. But Brantley with 2 outs, able to take off and run, scores. They get their second run aboard. Look at that.
Wow.
Hits right under the yellow line and comes back into play. And there's Jackson picking it up. So Santana, an RBI double, give him 49 ribbies, give him 28 doubles, and it's a 2-0 Indians lead.
Now Jason Giambi, who drove in the first run of this game with a 2-out RBI single in the second, and he takes a strike.
Yeah, tough to string together a lot of hits. Brantley has scored both Indians runs today coming off singles, both coming with 2 outs.
Yeah, and how about that one, too? 2 outs, nobody on base. He had struck out 4 of the last 5 hitters. You get a base hit up the middle, and then bang, lightning strikes.
Calling card.
Yep. The 2-out RBI hit all season long has been a big part of this Tribe team's success.
That's 61 runs this year with 2 out, nobody on. You talk about manufacturing or making something happen when the pitcher thinks he's got you, on the hook or getting out of the inning. 2 outs, nobody on. Next thing you know, you're able to put something on the board. That's got to be a little bit deflating.
The 0-2 to Giambi. Fouled back. He stays alive. Two down, Santana at second base. 0-2 offering to Giambi, and it's fouled. Ooh, that nailed Alex Avila. I think it got him right above the shin guard.
Oh, boy, they take a beating back there, don't they, those catchers from foul tips? That was an off-speed pitch right on the knee.
Got him right on.
Now, he's had surgery on his knees before, so that can't feel good whether you have the protection there or not. And he's just sitting there, I'm fine. Oh, yeah, he's fine. He's going to feel it. He'll be in a tub full of ice afterwards.
Strikes him out to end the inning. But the Indians once again strike with the 2-out thunder. Carlos Santana off the top of the wall makes it 2-0 Cleveland. The wireless receiver only from AT&T Uverse. Rethink possible. And by your local Toyota dealers. Toyota, let's go places. Well, it's turned out to be a beautiful night here at the Yard. Nice crowd here. 2-0 Indians on top. Bottom third of the Tigers lineup due here: Alex Avila, Jose Iglesias, and Ramon Santiago. Take a look at the two pitchers head to head. They've each allowed 4 hits. The Indians have had the big 2-out hit so far. That's the difference. Kluber sailed through the 4th inning on just 8 pitches thanks to the double play ball.
Yeah,
Kluber, the inning.
He hasn't allowed a hit with runner on base. Remember, Hunter was thrown out at second base by Brantley, and then Cabrera reached.
Alex Avila fouls it right back. He hit a ball to deep center, just to the left of center field, and Michael Brantley, or I should say Michael Bourne, ran it down. A terrific play. One ball, one strike. Oh, did he pull it nicely? Good change of pace, and Avila fooled. It's 1-2.
This is one pitch I'd love to see maybe Kluber throw a little bit more of that changeup. He has a good one. When it's effective, when he locates it, it's good.
A little bit low, 2-2. Could be a telltale inning in this game tonight. The Indians and the Tigers both can do a lot of damage offensively in the 5th. The Indians score a ton of runs in inning number 5. So far on the year, the Indians have scored 92 5th inning runs. That's their biggest inning by far. And the Tigers, well, they own the best major league batting average at .321 in the 5th inning. The 3-2. Swing and a miss. Avila strikes him out. Well, we mentioned before Johnny Peralta suspended by Major League Baseball. A 50-game suspension handed down, one of 13 players today. Katie Witham, what does that mean for the Indians as far as having one less, bona fide hitter to attack in that lineup?
Well, taking an all-star like Johnny Peralta out of the lineup ultimately, Matt, takes a little pressure off Corey Kluber. Everything from stressful pitches in that at-bat to the number of pitches Kluber would throw. Mickey Callaway equated facing Peralta 3 times in a start to having a pitcher only throw just stressful pitches in an entire inning.
Jose Iglesias, the batter, in Peralta's absence, takes inside, 1-1 to count. Iglesias grounded into a fielder's choice on a 3-2 count his first time up, so he made Kluber throw a lot of pitches in that at bat. Checks his swing, and it's foul.
Yeah, and sometimes the stressful pitches, if you got to face guys on base when they come to the plate too.
Well, Peralta came to bat with a number of those guys on base this year with 54 RBIs. Just missing. Well, that was a good pitch, a fastball just off the outside corner.
Well, Kluber has had 8 0-2 1-2 counts today. And then the quality pitches you make, that's a quality pitch, but they don't offer it, which is okay. I mean, this is one of the best offensive lineups going right now. They're first in the league in batting average, second in runs scored. Third in doubles, fifth in homers. They're going to put quality at bats up there against you every AB.
Second at bat for Iglesias. Second 3-2 count. Chops it back to the mound. Nice play by Kluber. 2 down. Let's take a look at our great clip of the game from yesterday. How about Scott Kazmir continues to improve with each and every start. He said he feels like he did 4 or 5 years ago the way he's throwing the baseball.
He looks like it.
Great clips. It's going to be great. Even lined a single back up the middle. A 98-mile-an-hour
Yeah.
fastball at that, mind you.
That was awesome. That's bragging rights there. Good for him. I mean, these guys don't take batting practice. And you hit a 98-mile-an-hour fastball, you have bragging rights, baby.
Santiago slaps it into left field, a base hit with 2 down here in the 5th inning. And that'll turn it over now to the top of the Tigers' order.
You know, when you're coming out facing, when the Indians went down to Miami, that offense is a little weak, and they faced the White Sox, that offense is weak. You're facing this offense here. You better be on your game. You have no margin of error. You've got to execute your pitches. 14-18 first pitch strikes, very good. 8-0-2 1-2 counts, very good. The defense behind them has been very good.
Jackson squibs one foul, first base side. Jackson awaiting the pitch. Kluber's 0-1 is grounded foul. Or did it stay fair?
That's
it stayed fair.
Unless
the
it
home
went
plate
up his
umpire
foot.
called it foul. Okay.
All right, I looked down at third
I
base
did
as
too.
well. I didn't see it. Home plate umpire said it was foul. Went off his foot.
Ron Copel was signaling fair. That's what I was looking at along with you. But where did it hit? Oh, did it hit off that pad?
No, I don't know. That went out in front of his foot.
Well, then that's a bad call.
I didn't see it off his pad. I didn't see it that way. I'm getting
It
old.
didn't
I
hit
don't
his
know
foot.
how my-
It definitely didn't hit his foot. I thought maybe it hit that black pad above his foot. Doesn't matter. He strikes him out and the inning's over. Halfway home, the Indians 2, the Tigers nothing.
Welcome back. Bottom half of the 5th inning. Indians lead it right now 2-0. They're being out hit 5-4, but you're going to see Chisenhall, Stubbs, and Bourne here in the bottom half of the 5th. Sanchez has been on a roll. He has struck out 6. But the Indians had two out base hits yesterday, last inning. Brantley had a single, and Santana drove in their second run. Chisenhall hit the ball hard his first time up, drove it deep to center field, where Austin Jackson made a tremendous catch out in front of the Indians bullpen. Sanchez missed, 1-1. Sanchez with a little breaking ball, a little cutter inside. The Chisenhall swings, fouls it into the seats. This has been a nice, crisp game to this point. The Indians taking advantage of a couple of 2-out hits and lead it 2-0. Indians able to foul that breaking ball off. When he has made his pitch, he has been very tough. In his career, 3-1 lifetime against the Indians. This year, he is 1-0. There it is. Locks him up with another fastball. He's had, I think, 3 called strikeouts. Let's check out our Toyota in-game recap, brought to you by your local Toyota dealers. Jason Giambi coming up, driving in a run right there to make it 1-0, 2-out base hit. And then here comes Carlos Santana. He makes it 2-0 with a double off the wall. Thought that ball was going to get out of here. And that's where we stand. Indians lead at 2-0 on 2 2-out hits. That ball driven down the left field line by Stubbs, that is put away by Dirks. Out number 2. Well, the Tigers will wrap up this series on Thursday. It'll be a 4-game series, and it's going to be Dollar Dog Night. Hot dogs will be $1 all night long. Get your tickets early and save at Indians.com. That matchup on Thursday is going to be Zach McAllister and Max Scherzer. Wrapping up this series, Scherzer 16-1 this year. I mean, he's having a year you just dream about. Fastball away by Sanchez, misses. Bourne did try to bunt his first time up, but Avila came out from behind the plate, able to pick it up and throw him out. He wanted to bunt on Cabrera, so he's forcing him to come in at third base. Evens the count now at 1. He's going to test him again. I like it. Cabrera going to laugh at him, though. Say, go ahead. Look at it. He's going to say something to him. Bourne going to ignore him. Hey, that's gamesmanship right there. You look at the pitches that Sanchez has thrown 95 or above. We showed you that in Florida a lot, but it's been 19 for him. Those guys down in Florida did that regularly, didn't they?
They have some tremendous arms down there. I mean,
yes, they do.
Yesterday, Evaldi, 98, 99, 100.
Right. He threw a couple pitches, a Hondo or better. Good changeup. Indians are going to host the LA Angels on Saturday, and the fans will be treated to an encore Rock and Blast fireworks show, and also the first 10,000 fans will receive a Rocky Colavito plaque. That's the giveaway on Saturday, both courtesy of Progressive Insurance. Log on to Indians.com for your tickets. That's the only team we haven't played in all of baseball, or at least in this league, is the Angels.
That's right.
Finally get a chance to see them over the weekend, and then on our next road trip, we'll hit L.A. We'll end up the road trip there. But we haven't faced them yet.
Yeah, and it's weird because they've already – well, they didn't start out well. They had their surge, and they've been in a fade ever since.
Yeah, well, yes, with Pujols out probably for the year.
51 and 59 at the start of play today. Lost 7 of their last 10. Torrey Hunter to lead off. Inning number 6 for Detroit, and it's just a little low. Ball 1. Corey Kluber authoring a dynamite game so far through 5 innings. He's given up just 5 hits.
You know, when you look at his last start against the Tigers, it was a very good one, except he had nothing to show for it. He went 6 in the 3rd innings. It was right here, July 7th, 5 hits and 2 runs. He ended up giving up the 2 runs. He left leading 6-1.
Yeah.
And that didn't turn out very well. They ended up winning 9-6, but Kluber had nothing to show for it. But he scattered 5 singles tonight.
Swung on and missed. Boy, what a good slider right there.
Yeah, nice breaking ball.
His 5th strikeout of the night. 1 down here in the 6th.
You know, it had some bite to it. Watch the sharpness, and just all of a sudden, boom, see you later. Starts out at the knees. The hitter thinks it's in the zone. And, I mean, it really has good bite to it. Ends up being a ball, but the hitter chases it. He gets his 5th strikeout. Good pitch.
Miguel Cabrera. Cabrera got to second base on an error in the 1st inning. He had a base hit down in the right field corner. He was going to stop at first, but Stubbs on the ricochet had the ball go by him, so he went to second. The only other runner to reach second base tonight was Victor Martinez back in the 2nd inning. That's how good Kluber has been. Last time up, Cabrera hit a ball back up the middle. It kicked off the leg of Kluber, and he made the play himself, flipping it over to first. 2-1 to count. Victor Martinez talking with Lloyd McClendon. Off-speed pitch, bouncer to third. Chisenhall hangs with it. Throws him out by about 30 feet. 2 down. Let's go back to the Hyundai Studios right now for an in-game update with Al Pulaski.
Hey, Matt, Rick, the Dodgers trying to get a big lead in the NL West. They've won 14 straight away from home, and tonight they have the early lead in St. Louis 2-1, thanks in part to Andre Ethier and this RBI single here in the 4th inning. They're heading to the 5th. Zach Greinke has a 2-1 lead. Matt?
That's a nice matchup there, huh? In St. Louis. Dodgers, Cards.
Cardinals a game and a half back of Pittsburgh in the NL Central. Dodgers with a 4-game win streak. They've opened up a 5.5 game lead in the NL West.
Yes, they have.
They may simply run away with it. Prince Fielder 0 for 2. He hit one right on the screws his last time up, but it was right at Drew Stubbs in right field. The 1-1. Breaking ball hit foul.
I know that one off.
That sure did.
You could hear it.
Take another look. Right off the
That's
top
off
of
the
his
top
foot.
of it. Look at the big man doesn't even say anything, man. He just takes it stride. Most guys would be down on the ground.
Yeah. This crowd has seen a terrific game to this point. The Indians lead 2-0 with 2 outs in the 6th inning. Kluber delivers. That's the pitch Fielder chased and struck out on in the first. This time he lays off, and it's 2-2.
That's what you try to do. You get the big man to try and chase, go up high, elevate, and get him to swing. He likes the ball down. He puts the ball in play no matter where it's pitched.
95-mile-an-hour fastball just missing in a full count. Kluber's payoff pitch. Out of play. For a guy who likes the ball down low, when you throw that high fastball up, you better make sure it's way up. Because I've seen him hit that letter high fastball and hit it a long way.
Oh, yeah. He's got that uppercut.
Into the dugout, sent his own teammates scattering for cover.
You know, for as big and as hard as he swings, he does a great job with runners in scoring position because he will give in. He doesn't try to hit the home run every time. You know, if you make a mistake, he may get you, but he'll take the base hit the other way. He hangs in there against left-handers. He's a good RBI man.
Again, Kluber with a 3-2 count, trying to put Fielder away and end the inning here. And another foul out of play. Now the payoff pitch one more time. And another foul ball.
See, he's falling. That was a great pitch. Just got a piece of it to stay alive. I mean, this ball's biting, going down, and you just look at Santana was putting the glove down for a backhand. He got a piece of it.
This will be the 10th pitch of the at-bat.
Elevate the heater. Elevate the heater.
Swung on and missed. He struck him out. 96-mile-an-hour fastball from Corey Kluber. The Tigers go 1-2-3, 2-0 Cleveland. To the Tigers, nothing. The bottom of the 6th inning here at Progressive Field. For the Tribe, winners of 11 straight here at home. Nick Swisher, Jason Kipnis, and Asdrubal Cabrera due up. Anibal Sanchez giving up just 2 runs on the 4 hits. Both of them coming on 2-out RBI knocks. One by Giambi in the second, one by Santana in the fourth. Both times scoring Michael Brantley. One ball, one strike. Swisher down on the count now, ball and 2 strikes. $50 out of the 77 pitches by Sanchez have been strikes, and this one's popped up back out of play. No question, this is an important series for both the Indians and the Tigers. Maybe more so for the Tribe since they're the team trailing. But Terry Francona, as much as he said, hey, it's exciting, it's fun. If you're not excited about this, then you don't have a heartbeat. But at the same time, he said you can't get caught up in looking at the standings just yet or checking the wild card standings. He said, look, if you, and I love this, this is Terry Francona, quote, if you start doing math too early, you might flunk.
Well,
it's almost like a Yogi Berra type line, but you know what he's saying. You start trying to add things up and figure out if we do this, if they do that, then you're just going to get yourself in trouble.
It's a very important series, but there's still a lot of baseball to be played after this series, I think is what he's trying to say.
Yep.
So the outcome, you just do the best you can, win and play hard. That's all you can do. And there's still a lot of baseball to go. What do we have, 50 games after tonight?
Mm-hmm.
This is 112 for us, and this is Detroit's 110th.
Swisher a swing and a miss. 9 strikeouts for Sanchez. Let's get the answer right now to the AT&T trivia question. The only battery mates to win Gold Gloves for 2 different teams. The left-hander Kenny Rogers, Pudge Rodriguez.
Oh, I'll be darned.
They won it together with Texas. And they did it again with Detroit.
Would have never guessed it. Kenny Rogers, yes. He was a good fielding pitcher, and, of course, Pudge was behind the dish. Yep, they got me tonight.
Jason Kipnis, 0 for 2. He has grounded out, struck out tonight. Taking a strike here to even the count. The 2-1 missed inside. That's the other two. The other thing that's been sort of refreshing about Terry Francona this year is that he's able to, take a question and give it sort of a fun, flippant answer at times that just kind of disarms everyone. Some managers or some coaches maybe get ticked off at some of those questions and they get short with reporters. But Terry he continues to just spin it around and get everybody cracking up. Whether or not it's a question about, is this a big series or, things like that. He's always got a quick-witted response.
Yeah, well, he's been through it. He knows. He's been managing a long time.
As Drupal Cabrera comes up 0 for 2. Somebody was talking to him the other day about the fact that, and it's true, if you look at the numbers, we talked about it in the Open. Since they last met, they both played almost exactly the same baseball.
Yes.
Every time we win, they've won. Every time the Indians have lost, the Tigers have lost. Terry said, I guarantee that won't happen the next 4 days.
It makes it fun. I mean, this is what you're looking for. You've worked your way back into this to play this team, that the situation you're in right now. You have them in your house in a 4-game series, so you better do some damage. I mean, you've got no one to help you. You can do all your own work right here in front of you.
Scoreboard watching necessary.
Right. I mean, come on. You got to beat this team. This is a team that's beat you 9 times. You know, you've only won 3 of those games, and they haven't pitched well against them. Well, Kluber's pitching well tonight.
Meanwhile, Sanchez isn't throwing all that shabby for Detroit.
He's been great, but you know the Indians have been in a number of these low-scoring games like this. So I mean, it's no stranger.
And a lot lately. They're
good at one-run games. They lead the league in shutouts.
Down in the dirt.
He might have went there.
Oh, he did, I think.
Yeah, well, when you look at the
he or
swing,
not?
I think he did.
What did the third base umpire say?
I think he said he went. There it was. That was the swing. Was that a 3-0
So it's 2-2 now instead of 3-1.
Okay.
Yep. Now a full count. Cabrera asks for time and steps out. Down low, ball 4. Inning stays alive for the Tribe. Remember, back in the 4th inning, 2 outs, nobody on base. Brantley singled, would come around to score with the 2-out RBI hit. We'll see if they can manufacture a run again here in similar fashion. The countdown is on. Just 12 more days until America's new 24-hour sports network, Fox Sports 1, will be your home for live sports, news, highlights, and shows that only Fox can bring you. America's new sports network is Fox Sports 1, coming August 17th. Michael Brantley fouls it off. That went off
the knee.
Avila again, and he is down.
He had his knee out there, though. He had the one up, and if you watch, it goes off his right knee. Watch the top of it. Foul tip. He had it down. He bends it, and there it goes, right off the right knee. So now he's taken one off each knee in the last couple of innings. And I mean, look at the trainers out there. There's not much you can do. It just got it. You need time for it to go away. And what do they have to do? Go right back into the crouch position.
Michael Brantley's had a good night. Back in the 2nd inning, a base hit and stole a base, came around to score. Then in the 4th, a 2-out single. And he would come around to score again. There goes Cabrera. Brantley pops it in the air to left. In comes Andy Dirks. He makes the catch. 6 innings in the books. It's the Indians 2 and the Tigers nothing. Panini's with 18 locations in Northeast Ohio. And by Levin. All right, 2-0 Tribe as we roll now to the 7th inning as you get a look in at Progressive Field from our Panini Cam, brought to you by Panini's Bar and Grill.
Yeah, they're getting their food for the last stretch here, the last 3. Kluber has been very good tonight, scattering 5 singles.
Victor Martinez is 2 for 2. He'll lead it off for Detroit. They've only had their leadoff man aboard one time tonight, and that's when Martinez led off the 2nd inning with a single. Rick, his 2 hits, neither one of them have been hit hard, but in typical Martinez fashion, he gets barreled to the ball.
The good hitter. You're right. I'll tell you what, Kluber's made good pitches to Victor all night. He's been ahead of him in his first 2 at-bats, but Victor's found a way to get a base knock.
Right back
Again,
0-2.
I think this is the 3rd straight time he's had Victor 0-2. But this guy, he doesn't give in, man. The last time it was a breaking ball down that he was able to go inside out, get a base hit. Man, he takes forever, too, to get in that batter's box. He takes his time. He was thinking shooting it the other way and fouled it off.
Man, he's got enough pine tar on that bat. I tell you, boy,
That's what you call a gamer right there.
If he stuck that to his helmet and then stuck the bat onto a girder, he could hang there.
That'd stick to anything. That's a combination of rosin and pine tar.
1 ball, 2 strikes.
Probably got to undo the gloves and take his hands out, and they're stuck to the bat. He just puts them right in the bat rack with it.
Kluber's 1-2. Driven to deep right field. Stubbs backpedaling. A turnaround. Makes the catch. Another tough play, but Drew Stubbs hung with it.
How about this? This is the hardest ball he's hit all night, and it goes for an out. The other 2 times he gets base hits, and Stubbs was fooled on his ball. He got tricked. He got turned one way, have to backpedal and turn around, and not an easy thing to do as an outfielder. But he's 6'4", 6'5". He stayed right there with it. And that's what you have to do. He puts it away. Atom ball, that's what you need.
Well, Prince Fielder had one of those back in the 4th inning. He smoked one at Stubbs. Here's up the middle. Kipnis throws and got him. Jason Kipnis with a highlight reel play here in the 7th inning, going up the middle, spinning in the air and making a perfect throw to get him.
That's what you love to see, boys. The defense is on point. I mean, anything in the area, they're ready to make a play. They are ready for every pitch. Kipnis, a beautiful play. They have been solid right out of the chute defensively, starting with Brantley's throw from left field to nail Hunter back in the 1st inning. The 2nd hitter of the ball game. That certainly helped Kluber out all night long.
And with 2 down, Alex Avila to the plate, 0 for 2 on the night. Fly to deep center in the 2nd, struck out in his last time up. And in there for a called strike. In the air again, center field. Bourne, a routine play. This time he'll give way to the left fielder, Brantley, who makes the catch. The Tigers go 1-2-3 on 8 pitches, and the Tribe maintains control 2-0. Time now for the 7th inning stretch. Brought to you by Spitzer Auto World. Life is hard. Buying a car shouldn't be.
Out for KeyBank Kids Fun Day. That's each and every Sunday home game throughout the year. Plenty of activities for the kids out on the plaza. They also get to run the bases. That's presented by Cleveland Clinic. After the ball game, log on to Indians.com for your tickets.
Bottom of the 7th inning, Carlos Santana will lead it off. He just missed a home run his last time up. Hit it off the top of the wall in right field for a 2-out RBI double.
Yeah, you can't hit it much harder than he hit it. It was just under the yellow line at the top of the wall.
Swung on and missed. Rick, you were talking before about the Indians playing in close games, one-run games. I mentioned a lot lately. Since the All-Star break, the Indians have had 16 games. 8 of the 16 have been decided by one run.
Yeah.
And the Indians have won the last 4 one-run games, and they've also pitched 3 shutouts just since the All-Star break.
Well, they've been great. It's been fun. But you remember that first trip we went on after the All-Star break, we lost 4 straight.
4, yeah.
One-run games.
Right. Yeah, those one-run decisions did not go their way initially, but they've turned it around since.
One-run baseball, it's fine. You're in every game, and you get a sense. But when you win them, it takes care of a lot. When you lose them, you start looking at a lot.
You beat yourself up
They've
over
just
everything.
been on the good side of them more times than not. 22-13 this year against.
Let's not forget that Minnesota series. They played horribly defensively, and when you play close one-run games, those mistakes will kill you.
Got to play good defense always in one-run games.
Giambi, it's going to go foul, first base center.
Yeah, Sanchez wanted to try and get that ball, knowing he could get it in fair territory and beat Giambi to the base, but he just couldn't get there.
Jason, the 2-out RBI single in the second inning. Struck out his last time up. This is another game, though, that has really typified Giambi's year with the Indians. When he does get hits, they seem to come at clutch times. He's not a guy that gets a 2-out single with nobody on base. He's the guy who gets the big hit when you seem to need it the most.
Well, he got him going tonight, I'll tell you that. Look at him hustle.
Cabrera throws, and Giambi is out at first base. Tonight, coming up on Training Camp Daily, Jim Donovan, Doug Deacon, and Mary Kay Cabot will talk about Greg Little's new work ethic. Jim will go one-on-one with Trent Richardson. Complete coverage of all the action from Berea tonight at 11:30 on Training Camp Daily. 2 down for Lonnie Chisenhall. Fly to deep center. His first time up, and that was close. That could have been. Didn't have a real definitive look on the replay as to whether or not that ball would have been out of here, but it was a tremendous play. Austin Jackson, deep center. He leaped up, made the catch. He was either right in front of or right at the wall. But Chisenhall smoked it. So this game could be 5-0 instead of 2-0.
Well, he hit it well. And Jackson, we've seen him make catches, that are unbelievable. And that, I don't know if that would have been out from where he jumped there. It would have been close. It would have been awfully close, but he just snags another one. You go back to when that play he made in Detroit when the near perfect game.
Yeah, he's been in the center of a lot of great plays for Detroit. Quick inning. We go to the 8th, 2-0 Cleveland. transmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cleveland Indians. Well, the Indians with a 2-0 lead as we roll to the 8th inning. With activity in the bullpen, Corey Kluber will look to continue his shutout performance here tonight. 97 pitches on the evening. 68% of them have been for strikes. When he goes deep, he usually wins.
He's been as good as advertised. I'll tell you, he has gone. In his last start, he went 8 2/3 innings against the White Sox.
He's had 5 starts this year, 7 or more. His ERA is 1.60, and he's 4-0. And he has been fantastic so far tonight as Jose Iglesias 0 for 2 leads off. Joe Smith up just in case. Did he go? They'll appeal. He did, says Phil Cuzzy down at first. And it's 0-2. I think Terry Francona feels like
they caught a break. You see, he was shaking his head. Did you see him looking up at the umpire, fish eyeing him, saying, I didn't swing, and he did.
Pitch number 100. Hit on the ground. Diving, stopped by Kipnis. Gets up, throws. Got him! Another spectacular play by Jason Kipnis. A terrific all-out dive into the outfield grass, and then the presence of mind to quickly jump to his feet and throw him out.
You get by with a little help from your friends. And right now, Kipnis is his friend. He's made 2 nice plays in the last 2 innings. That one leading off the inning, a huge play on an 0-2 pitch. Able to retire Iglesias. Very nice. Look at the cheat there by Swisher. Bringing that foot off like he had it in his glove.
Ramon Santiago squared. Pulled it back. It's ball 1. Santiago slapped a single to left his last time up. That's the last Tiger to reach in this game. Kluber has set down 8 straight. And it's low 2-0. Just over 100 pitches on the night for the Indians right-hander. And a strike is called. The count is 2-1.
Couple of quick birthdays. Dale Short of Archibald, Ohio, turning 87, and Ann Keith of Norwalk, 89. Happy birthday to you both.
2-1. Out of play. 2-2 the count. The 2-2 delivery. Line into left field. Another base hit for Santiago. Both of them, he's just taking them the other way. So the tying run to the plate with 1 out in the 8th.
Yeah, and that's going to do it for Kluber. You know, he was out there until somebody reaches. It's a little breaking ball, and that enables him to go the other way with it. So he's had a good night against Kluber, 2 for 3, but Kluber was outstanding tonight. Got to tell you that, man. Again, he goes 7 1/3.
This crowd loves it.
They should.
24,381 the announced attendance here tonight. They'll give Kluber a standing O with the Indians on top 2-0 here in the 8th inning. And tonight's Cleveland Clinic call to the bullpen is for Joe Smith, who will be coming on when we come back. inning. 1 on, 1 out. Austin Jackson will be coming up. And Joe Smith on for the Indians. Joe Smith on the year. 4-1, a .305 earned run average. His 48th appearance in 41 and a third innings. He's walked 16, struck out 32. Austin Jackson 0 for his last 10 at the plate. Just 2 hits in his last 16 at-bats. Corey Kluber will watch the rest of this one from the dugout. First pitch strike.
You certainly cannot ask for something any better than Kluber gave you. He got you deep into the game, turns it over to your setup man and possibly your closer. Allowed 6 hits. They've had great defense. He's had atom balls hit.
Back to the screen, nothing into the count. Way outside. Jackson slowly chopped towards third. Going to be a tough play. Chisenhall barehand grab and throw, no dice.
That's
Swisher
okay.
did a nice job to come off the bag and pick it to keep the ball from getting away.
Yes, he did. There's nothing you can do there. Smith makes a good pitch, and then Jackson tops it. Chisenhall, his only play was coming with the bare hand, but I like what Swisher did. He came off the base. There wasn't going to be a play. Come on off and take that quick short hop and just keep him at second base. Good play by Nick.
Well, now Torrey Hunter coming up. Hunter 1 for 3 on the night. He struck out his last 2 times up. With 1 down and the tying run now at first for Detroit. And the first time they have really threatened since way back in the 2nd inning.
Well, that's the first time that they've had a hit with a runner on base. And it was an infield hit. Not much you could do about it. Good pitch by Smith. All of Detroit's hits have been singles.
Another foul ball. It's 0-2. Trying to make some noise here in this 8th inning. Tribe leading it 2-0. 2 on, 1 out. The 0-2 pitch is driven to right field. Stubbs plays it back on a hop, and now the bases are loaded.
Oh, I got
coming
him
around
second.
They got Jackson in a rundown. They tag him out. 2 down. Oh, a colossal base running mistake by Austin Jackson.
Wow. He was caught off guard. They thought they were going to send him home, and they held up Santiago at third base. And that throw that Stubbs moved back on, instead of continuing and come in, he didn't want to take a chance not knowing if he could catch it. Just gets it in. I don't know if he knew where Jackson was or not, but Cabrera has the wherewithal to say yes. He was off the base. He ran him right into play, tagged him out. 2nd out of the inning, and that remains 1st and 3rd, but you got Cabrera coming to the plate. Big play.
So with 2 down, here's the pitch. Swing and a miss. Took something off. The ball game hanging in the balance right here in the 8th inning. And now this crowd is in full throat. The pitch inside. 1-1 to count. 1-1 pitch. A bullet hit right at Kipnis. He's got it. Throws him out. What a job by Joe Smith. He gets out of trouble here in the 8th with some help from the defense. It remains 2-0 Tribe. Brought to you by Conrad's Tire Express and Total Car Care. The highlights, reaction, analysis, a whole lot more. It's straight ahead. Immediately following the ball game here on Sports Time Ohio. For the Tribe here in the home half of the 8th, it will be Drew Stubbs, Michael Bourne, and Nick Swisher facing Anibal Sanchez, who's at 103 pitches. Fouled back out of play.
Boy, Stubbs, I'll tell you what, he recovered on that one play in right field. That's a play you broke back, and, you know, with the situation as it was with two guys on base at tying run, you can't go after the ball and let it get by you. So he wanted to be a little more defensive, and he broke back, but he ended up making the right play, throwing it to second base, because Jackson made the mistake of rounding the base thinking he was going to third and had to hold up.
Inside, he missed. It's one of those split-second reaction plays for an outfielder. He's got to make that decision quick. Sure, in hindsight,
but it was a bullet.
He might have been able to make the play on the catch. But if he makes that, if he commits and he can't, and then he can't stop it, then you've got chaos.
Well, yes, you can't get burned on that ball. He did the right
that's
thing.
the 11th strikeout of the night for Anibal Sanchez, and there's one gone here in the 8th inning. The in-game box score, courtesy of your local Hyundai dealers. Michael Brantley, he got it started twice for the Indians with singles. He stole a base one time, came around both times on 2-out RBI hits, one by Giambi, one by Santana. And Corey Kluber, now Joe Smith, have made it stand up. Bourne 0 for 3 on the night, bounces one to short. Iglesias throws him out, 2 down. Revisiting our keys to the game from earlier tonight, courtesy of Akron Children's Hospital. Control Jackson and Hunter. Well, they've been on base 3 times total, but for the most part, they've done that. And the 2-out hitting. Well, just told you, both Indians runs coming on the 2-out RBI hits. So they've played this one very well tonight. It's very clean. Defensively, they've made a lot of tremendous plays.
That, for me, is the big thing they've done here. They played very good defense, and they've been sloppy in the past, at least when they've been on the road.
1-0 pitch. There's a strike call, and it's 2-1. Meanwhile, the Indians starting pitching coming into tonight in their last 24 games. A 2.22 ERA, 6 2/3 average innings pitched per start. Corey Kluber did nothing but lower both of those numbers tonight. Well, he lowered the ERA and raised the average innings pitched per start. Swisher draws a walk.
No, he didn't. He called it a strike. They checked down at third. You know, he dropped his bat thinking it was a walk, and then they appealed it. And then Ron Culpa said, yes, he did. It was a late call, but they did appeal. I didn't see the swing. I was watching the pitch. I didn't see it from the side. There's the appeal as Swisher was on his way, and he said, yes, he did.
We'll try again. 3-2. Almost hit him, and that is ball 4. That's going to be it for Anibal Sanchez, I do believe. Jim Leland heads to the
upset.
diamond.
He pitched a whale of a game.
Sanchez will leave after 7 2/3 on the short end of a 2-0 score in today's Cleveland Clinic. Call to the bullpen. Left-hander Phil Cope coming on when we come back. Just 2 runs, but he's on the short end because Cleveland's Corey Kluber has simply pitched better here tonight.
Well, he struck out 11, only walked 2. That last walk did him in. It was his game, but he couldn't get out of it. Phil Cope coming on to face the left-hander Jason Kipnis. The Indians were able to do it one other time in the 4th where they had nobody on and 2 outs. There was a Brantley single, a Santana double where they were coming around to score their second run, but this guy, the last time the Tigers were shut out was July 19th in Kansas City. It was a 1-0 game. Irvin Santana beat Anibal Sanchez 1-0.
Jason Kipnis 0 for 3 on the night. There for a while, Jason Kipnis really was carrying the Indians' offense. Some nights you can't get it going with the bat. He's 0 for 3. And on those nights, you do everything you can defensively to help your team win. Kipnis 4 assists, 3 putouts. He helped turn a double play. And he's made a couple of sensational defensive gems here this evening. With 2 down and Swisher at first. Koch misses down low, ball 1. Right back up the middle and through. Swisher stops at second base. And the Indians have 2 on with 2 out now here in the 8th inning, and Asdrubal Cabrera coming up.
That was a nice swing.
Jim Leland
again.
He
was on to get the left-hander, but Kipnis hits left-handers. He doesn't try and do too much. He takes it right back up the middle. Look at him. He wasn't trying to pull him. He was just looking wherever that ball is pitched, and he takes him right back up the middle, and here come the Indians with 2 outs now. They get their 5th hit of the night, and Phil Koch is done.
So a timeout for another pitching change. We'll be right back. They've got 2 on, 2 out here in the 8th inning. It was Jim Leland who once said of Tim Wakefield, he's never mediocre. The same can be said for Al Albuquerque of late. In his last 8 appearances, 4 times he's been lights out, 4 times he's given up multiple runs.
Now, it's all a matter of throwing strikes for this guy. He's got a tremendous arm. But if he's all over the place, that's going to be his problem.
Asdrubal Cabrera 0 for 2 with a walk. Takes a strike. He didn't like the call. It's 1-1. Ground ball at the second baseman, Santiago, and the inning is over. We're headed to the 9th inning, where Chris Perez will try to save it for a 3rd consecutive game. Immediately following the game right here on Sports Time Ohio. The highlights, interviews, analysis, it's all straight ahead. Ninth inning, Chris Perez on to try to nail it down for the Indians. He saved the game Saturday night and Sunday afternoon in Miami. Looking for his 18th on the year. He's got Prince fielder Victor Martinez and Andy Dirks standing between him and that potential achievement in the ninth inning.
Well, that was a big inning last inning. When you look at Perez in his last 7 days, I'll tell you what, he's had his workload. He needs 3 outs here, but that was a big inning. Last inning was really the save inning. The way it turned out.
Sure did. Prince fielder 0 for 3. Takes ball 1. Fielder has struck out twice and lined to right. Pitch outside, and it's 2-0. Down the line, slicing. Brantley, a long run. It's a fair ball. Rattling in the corner. And fielder into second base with a leadoff double. And now the tying run to the plate the rest of the inning for the Tigers. That ball was slicing away from Brantley, and it just stayed fair.
Well, yeah, it was behind in the count, but he stayed on it. And it was slicing, but not enough. That stayed in play. So fielder gets his 23rd double. They get the leadoff man aboard. Now that brings the tying run to the plate.
And the batter will be Victor Martinez, who is 2 for 3 with a couple of singles in the game. Out of play. The executive producer for Sports Time Ohio is Tom Farmer. Coordinating producer for Indians baseball is Steve Warren. Tonight's game produced by Jim Murphy, directed by Pat Murray. Indians Live produced by Mike Bachman. Associate producers Mike Pockton and Steve Bardo. Technical director Dan Larson. Creative consultant Mark Koha. The 0-1 pitch. And Martinez taking a strike. It's 0-2.
There's a nice slider here that Martinez takes. Right down. He got a look at it. Now down in the count. He's been down in the count 0-2 every time up tonight.
Last time up, he blistered a ball to right field, but Drew Stubbs made the catch on it. The 0-2. Lines one to left field. That's a base hit. His 3rd hit of the night. They're going to wave fielder home. He's going to score. It's a 1-run game, and now the tying run is aboard as Martinez has his 61st RBI on the season.
Man, how about that for hitting? He was thinking nothing but the other way. He came back with another slider, and he slaps it the other way. Great job of hitting. Look at that. He was just thinking other way. Look at the hands trailing, slaps it, base hit, gets the RBI. They'll now pinch run for him. So Victor with 3 hits on the night.
And that was on an 0-2 pitch.
Yeah.
And a pinch runner at first base. Hernan Perez running for Martinez. Down low to Andy Dirks. Go to first. Again, this is the third game in a row Perez is working. Cody Allen up in the Indians bullpen. Dirks fouls it back. 1-1. Down low. 2-1 to count.
Well, this crowd, I'll tell you what, the first two hitters of this inning has taken a lot of the enthusiasm and noise away from this crowd. Perez has got to make a pitch here. He needs a double play ball.
Two-one delivery. And I guess it was a little bit outside. 3 balls and a strike.
No, you can't start nibbling now. He had an 0-2 base hit by Martinez with a good job of going the other way. After the leadoff double, he fell behind Fielder.
Here's Perez, delivers a 3-1, and Dirks takes ball 4. Oh boy, nobody out, and now 2 men on base. And we got trouble in the 9th. Alex Avila coming to the plate. A double to start the inning by Fielder just inside the left field line. Then Victor Martinez on an 0-2 pitch, lined a single to right field to score. Fielder. He was lifted for a pinch runner. Perez is at second, the runner there, and now Andy Dirks is at first, representing the winning or the go-ahead run for the Tigers now.
Well, I thought you'd see Callaway or somebody out here to maybe stall for some time. Maybe they sent Santana out, they bring the infield in, but right now Perez is in a jam. Nobody out. The first 3 have reached. And the Indians, their lead down to 1. 2-1 ball game.
Alex Avila 0 for 3 on the night. In on the grass at third is Chisenhall. Avila not showing bunt, and he takes ball 1.
Well, he looks tired to me. He's not crisp. That fastball command is not there. You remember he got Martinez with the slider, and then he went the 0-2 slider. He took him the other way, and he hasn't been able to throw his fastball for strikes.
Drilled. Deep center. Born back. Looking up. Gone. He didn't have it. He did not have it tonight. And a 3-run homer for Detroit has completely flipped the game. And the Tigers, with 4 in the 9th, now lead it 4-2.
Well, you can tell when a guy doesn't have it. He hasn't had it tonight. No question about it. First 4 reached, and they put 4 on the board, and that just pumps the Tigers up, and he took a high fastball, just trying to throw it for a strike, and he took him to left center. It is now a 4-2 game. So now the Indians are going to have a little comeback of their own. First, they got to get out of this 9th inning.
We've got a timeout. 4-2 Detroit here in the 9th. Quite a turn of events here in the ninth inning. The Indians led it 2-0. But Chris Perez trying to close for the third game in a row. Didn't have it. And now the Tigers have scored 4 runs. There's still nobody out. And Cody Allen will be coming on to face Jose Iglesias. Alex Avila, who hasn't hit much of anything this year, a .198 batting average coming in, but he clobbered a 3-run homer.
Big fastball out.
Well, when you reduce
plate.
a pitcher to 1 pitch, and you know that's all he's got.
Well, he's had 32 pitches the last 2 days. But that was his 3rd day in a row pitching. And he just didn't have it tonight, man. You could tell. You could tell early.
Perez had gotten up earlier in the game to try and get loose, to see if he could go tonight. And he felt like, obviously, that he could give it a go. And so Terry Francona went with him in this 9th inning. But after 8 shutout innings, the Tigers get up off the deck with 4 here in the 9th.
Well, you just got to get that out and get through this inning. And don't give up any more. I mean, they have 11 hits now, 3 in this inning. They had 3 last inning. The base running mistake certainly helped them get out of last inning by Jackson. So they've had 6 hits in the 8th and 9th inning, and there's still nobody out. So you got to get through this and just get in down by 2.
Grounded towards third, and no play. Another hit, infield single. And now Ramon Santiago coming up.
And this guy, he was flying down the line. He had no chance. But playing back with 2 strikes.
Santiago has twice slapped singles to left field. Squared around the bunt, and it's up and in, ball 1.
And sure, Jim Leyland, he's got his 9th place hitter up there now. He wants to add on. Move him over. Give me 2 more chances to see if I can get another one.
Pitch. Santiago squares, bunts it too hard. Swisher dives, can't make the play.
Good effort. Good effort. Good try off the end of the glove. He knew he was going to come up. He saw it go up in the air and just couldn't hold on to it. But it is good effort. That first baseman's glove is about as long as you can get. And if it doesn't stay there, it's not going to stay in any glove. They may start the runner here in this situation. Leland's been known to do that too. Take the bunt off, start the runner, and try a hit and run. He can be aggressive now with a 2-run lead.
Squares, pulls it back. It's low. 2-1.
Got the guys, charging in at the corners. Allen, you got to throw a strike here. Now would be the time to do it.
He squares. He bunts. Allen's got it. Goes to first for the out. 1 away. Iglesias moves to scoring position. Sacrificed by Santiago, and now Austin Jackson coming up.
So their first out in the ninth came after 6 hitters, and it was a sacrifice.
Back out of play. 0-1 the count here on Austin Jackson. We had an infield hit his last time up, just topped one up the third baseline, but he was able to race down the line and get to first. That snapped an 0 for 10 for Jackson offensively. Back out of play, and it's 0-2.
Well, Detroit tonight with runners in scoring position, 0 for 4 against Corey Kluber, 3 for 4 against the bullpen.
Two-strike pitch. Jackson shoots it down the right field line. Foul ball. They'll come back and do it again with Jackson at the plate. Cody Allen, 9 out of 11 pitches for strikes. And he strikes out Jackson, but the ball gets away from Santana.
He's going to reach. Be a wild pitch.
Boy, oh boy.
And that's that curveball at Santana. Backhands, goes off his glove and far enough away. Jackson reaches easily. So still just 1 out.
And now the batter, Torrey Hunter, who is 2 for 4 on the night. In the dirt, and Santana keeps that one in front of him at least. Four runs now on 12 hits for Detroit. 2 runs, 5 hits for the Indians. Cody Allen delivers the 1-0 to Torrey Hunter instead of throw to first. Jackson is back with a dive. If he doesn't get Hunter to hit into a double play, he's going to have to face Cabrera here in this 9th inning. Out of play, right side, 1-1. Joaquin Benoit will be coming on to try and close it out for Detroit. Shoots it back. Allen's 1-2. Swing and a miss. He strikes him out. The inning should be over, but he'll have to face Miguel Cabrera now with 2 down.
Got the fastball upstairs and was able to get, that was pretty good location. Belled high, middle in it, and gets Hunter to swing at it. Good pitch. But with Jackson reaching on the wild pitch after that strikeout brings this guy to the plate now with 2 outs.
Ball gets away from Santana. Down to second goes Jackson. Second wild pitch of the inning.
Well, you know, you got to make good pitches to this guy. So if you throw him a breaking ball, you're going to bounce it. But now you just put him on. You don't even pitch to this guy.
You got Zepchinski in the bullpen to come on and face Fielder next. He almost threw that over the plate. Wow, Cabrera. I tell you what, Cabrera flinched as if he had a notion to maybe take a swing at it. Miguel Cabrera, the 9th Tiger to bat here in the inning. And now we'll get another pitching change. So a timeout here in Cleveland. The third man to pitch in the inning will be Mark Zepchinski. He'll be coming on with the bases loaded, 2 outs when we come back. Batted around as Prince Fielder will bat for the second time. He started the inning off with a double. Now Mark Zepchinski will be facing him with the bases loaded. It's just his second appearance as an Indian. Fielder started it with a double. Victor Martinez on an 0-2 pitch singled in Fielder. The next man up then when you had the walk to Andy Dirks. And then Alex Avila hit a 3-run homer, knocked Perez out of the game, put Detroit on top. Cody Allen came on, gave up a hit, a sacrifice bunt, and a strikeout with a wild pitch, another strikeout, an intentional walk, and that brings us to Fielder.
Yeah, this inning has gotten out of control. I mean, you got to keep it 4-2 and give yourself your offense a chance at least.
Ball 1. Don Kelly pinch running for Cabrera at first. Swung on and missed.
He was trying to lift one out of here. See if he changes that approach. He tried to watch his head. He had the uppercut, and he was trying to put another 4 on the board.
Big bouncer to second base. Kipnis has it. He'll throw him out. Tigers leave the bases loaded, but they score 4 to take the lead. 4-2. Last chance for the Tribe coming up. Four-2 Tigers as we go now to the bottom of the ninth inning. And as promised earlier, it's Miller time, brought to you by Miller Lite.
Well, the defense tonight has been outstanding, man. Right from Michael Brantley, the second hitter of the game, getting his 10th assist. Michael Bourne runs one down in left center field. They're able to turn a double play. Kipnis is outstanding with a couple of innings back-to-back, one ranging to his left, the other one to his right. And, man, they were so good defensively tonight. Corey Kluber was outstanding, and unfortunately, the ninth inning took place. It was such a nice, clean game up until that point. And now we're going to get a chance to see their closer. And the Indians now just down 4. So you need a base runner, or excuse me, down 2. And you need a base runner and bring that tying run to the plate. And you got a good guy to lead it off here for you in the ninth.
Benoit, perfect, 12 out of 12 in save situations. Don Kelly, who ran for Cabrera, stays in at third. Michael Brantley try to get it started for the Indians here in the ninth inning.
He has scored both the Indians' runs tonight.
And a first pitch strike in there. Now the 1-1. Benoit gets a hit.
Going back with a fastball in.
A little bit in too much, and the count evens 2 balls, 2 strikes.
He has that good split. His off-speed pitch, a change. Between that and he can throw that high fastball by it. Coming back with another fastball.
And that 2-2 is popped up. Shallow center, in comes Jackson. He's there. 1 away. That'll bring up Carlos Santana, 1 for 3 on the night. Santana an RBI double back in the 4th. Joaquin Benoit was not the closer the Tigers necessarily envisioned when the year began. But he's morphed into this role, and he's done a very nice job. I mentioned before, he's 12 out of 12. Initially, when the season began, they thought Bruce Rondon, the youngster, would be their closer, a flamethrower, but command problems changed their mind. They went out and reacquired Jose Valverde. He started out okay, but then he struggled. They settled on Benoit. They acquired Jose Veras from Houston. Swung out and missed. 1-2 to count. Benoit, while starting out as the 8th inning guy, I mean, he's 4th among American League relievers. He's only given up 7 earned runs in 45 innings on the year, so he's done a terrific job. Regardless of which role he's been in. Fouled back out of play. Over 500 appearances out of the bullpen in his career as Jason Giambi waits on deck. Up and away, 2-2. Santana narrowly missed homering back in the 4th inning, hit it just to the top of the wall in right field. Two. Little number right back to the mound. Easy play. 2 down. Jason Giambi will be the Indians' last hope to keep it alive here in the 9th. Giambi 1 for 3 on the night. Checks his swing. Did he go? They appeal. He did not. One-0 pitch. Hit in the air, deep left field. Back is Dirks on the track. And the game is over. Detroit comes back for a 4-2 win with 4 in the 9th. They take the series opener from the Tribe It may not be a devastating loss, given that it's only August the 5th and there are still 50 more games to go, but it's easily the most disappointing loss of the year for the Indians. A game they had in hand and let it slip away. 4-2 the final score. Detroit now 65-45. They open up a 4-game lead in the division. The Indians 62-50. Time now for our key play of the game, brought to you by KeyBank.
Well, let's go back to that 9th inning. You're going to see a fastball up and out over the plate. 2 men aboard. Avila takes it the other way, and I mean that was a crusher right there. That knocked Perez out of the game, the 4th straight guy to reach. That made it 4-2. That's where it stood. And that is going to be our KeyBank key play of the game. Get a free Kindle Fire HD when you sign up for a new checking account. Some restrictions apply.
"4-2 is the final score tonight. Indians Live is coming up next.